Good morning, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? We were having some technical difficulties backstage this morning. Got them cleaned up, I think, because I actually went to a different computer, so I got to figure this out later. But anyway, here, here for this, right? So it's Wednesday, had several days off. I hope everybody had a great 4th of July. I had to have a procedure done yesterday, so I couldn't be live. So I missed all you guys. I missed you very much. Let me see who's in here. Preschool Granny, good morning. Uli, good morning. Love that comment. Thank you, Uli. Collie, good morning. Big T, good morning. Hello, Chris. Sonia. Two Boston moms, how are you? Miss Moonfire, good morning. Yes, good vibes to you. Hello, Beth. Wolfcat. Let's see. Fun to Ski, how are you? Hi, Lisa. Hello, Angie Gibson. How is everyone doing? So we're talking about Dylan Rounds today. Of course, this case has taken on a life of its own with the crazy rumors, the private investigator that refuses to go away despite a cease and desist letter. He's not going to stop. Maybe he's onto something, maybe he's not. I just don't see how the family would tell him to go away if he has helpful information. But you be the judge. In the meantime, I'm going to bring up our friend Court K, who has been heavily following this case. Good morning, Court.
Good morning, everybody. How are you?
Doing good. How was your 4th?
It was good. I was just getting my daughter packed because she's in Florida with a friend for the first time ever, so I'm kind of freaking out, but she'll be fine.
Oh, of course, she'll have fun. Just jealous. Florida is beautiful. Maybe get some ocean breeze, and like the hot as hell temperatures we're going through, where it's just no breeze, no air. You know, you take a deep breath and you're like, oh, so those are lungs.
Yep, it's 99 here today, though, so you know we might not at least not hit 100, which is awesome.
Yeah,
not like it matters.
It's like you have a cool front out there in West Texas.
We do.
Well, I'm going to go through some comments from the last show. You want to go through them with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Here we go. All right, we had someone trolling the comments after the last show. It happens. They must have known that they had struck a nerve because they changed their name from whatever it was before. Now we have a new name. So I'm not going through all of them, just going to address some that need to be addressed. So Asstastic, great name. What is Asstastic? So what is fantastic about your ass? Pictures or it didn't happen.
Right?
Asstastic said, of course Candace is saying that Jim hadn't collected any of the information, but he has. Maybe listen to the source, not the mouthpiece. It doesn't have anything. Candace is not an investigator. Candace is a mother looking for her child. The private investigator is the investigator. And we don't know who he's talked to. We don't have any recordings of these conversations. I haven't seen any screenshots, nothing like that. I'm not saying he didn't have these conversations. I'm not saying he made it up. But I think you're kind of putting a lot on the mother of a missing, I'm going to say child. He's her child, even though he's 19, missing man, that you expect her to do an investigation. I think as far as advocacy goes, I think Candace and Justin are way on top of it.
Oh, definitely. They're doing a lot better than others out there.
They have a $100,000 reward up. They went to the media. They went to social media. I know she's talked on many platforms. She hasn't been on this one yet, but she's, more than welcome to come up. So is Justin. So also, the elephant in the room, there was an arrest made last week. This is, they're very careful to say that, may or, it's not related to Dylan, but the arrest affidavit does have Dylan's initials in it.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lady backstage that was in court yesterday when Jim went before the judge, and there's a lot going on there. It kind of looks like they have their guy. With everything that the private investigator's been saying, he never brought Jim up. Jim's the one arrested. Jim's the one that's not being extradited. Chase is being extradited. Do you find that odd, Court?
Yeah, I mean, not odd, but obviously they're not extraditing Jim for a reason. I guess. I mean, I was actually surprised that the PI Jim hasn't, come up with a story for that yet. Like something crazy,
Well, he's either going to go away or he's going to have to come up with something.
He is not going away.
No. Because it can't be ignored. I mean, like I said, they're extraditing Chase, which means, all right, that state has first dibs, but they haven't done anything with Jim. Mind you, it's been a shorter amount of time. These things take time. But I mean, the word on the streets is a grand jury is going to be hearing something with Jim. It's not the .22 rifle because that's already signed, sealed, delivered. Yep. We know from the arrest affidavit from the FBI that he had Don hold this gun. For some reason, he thought he had some right to it. Felons are not supposed to have guns. Some they can have, but not that one.
Exactly. And I guess it's not bad necessarily because his fingerprints are going to be on stuff anyway because, he knows Dylan and worked with him. So the whole them breaking into the truck and taking it back to Idaho or whatever, I don't really think that's a big deal. Because, he might have his fingerprints on stuff anyway, right?
Oh, yeah. They're going to find his fingerprints around there because he was known to the property, from what I understand. Right. He was basically squatting out there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Don was squatting there, but they both were familiar with Dylan, familiar with the property. So, I mean, yeah.
So I think from what I've heard, I mean, obviously don't know for sure, but that trailer or camp or whatever you want to call it that he's squatting in belongs to Don.
I wasn't
sure. But it's not Don's property. I don't know.
Is it Don's? Go ahead. No.
I mean, I think so, and which is why he thought he had rights to keep that gun for, whoever owed him money or whatever. Because it was his camper that it was found in, but not his property. So I really have no idea.
Well, he was in possession of the .22. We're going to go through the article, the arrest affidavit that was on East Idaho News, because Nate breaks it down to where it's
I had read that whole thing, and it said something about Don. Yeah, I was thinking about all these Dons are confusing, but I was reading about it and it said that the reason he didn't tell him right away is because I think he was going to keep it because somebody owed him money. Right?
Correct. And, felons are not supposed to have guns, and felons are the ones that always know how to get one.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It is so common for felons to get picked up on a gun charge. They know. Numero uno, you were not to have a gun, and the first thing they do is get a damn gun.
Yep.
They know where to get them. They do.
They know where to get all the goods.
Yep. So this .22, he felt like he was owed money. We'll get into it more, but his thought process was hold my stuff, because he was interviewed on June 7th, FBI, I believe. Then again on June 16th. So they wanted to talk to his ass twice.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the middle, he gives these guns to Don. Now his initials are his name is in initials in the arrest affidavit. And, hang on to these like a dumbass. Sure, buddy, I'll hold your guns. It makes me wonder why he was so willing to do a fool's errand and why his identity is being protected. Did he make a deal?
Probably so. It was probably more or less, hopefully he didn't have anything to do with anything, but now he has knowledge, obviously. And he doesn't want to go down for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And at this point, it's a very small area. pretty much anyone could be involved or connected somehow. Fun to Ski said something about the grain shed and JB having a key. JC owns the land where the shed is, but he was asked by the owner to be security for the property. You were talking about this right before the show.
Yeah, so I heard that last night. That he had a key, so I mean they were making it seem like so the land with the grain shed is on belongs to JC. I don't remember his name. I have it somewhere. And so that's who Dylan's grandpa bought the land from. So like it was all connected at once and he split it up or whatever. And he filed for water rights in May, which I don't know, but he lives in Salt Lake City, I believe.
Oh, okay. So he's kind of got to drive. So he's not right there.
No, he doesn't live there. Let me see. I had the
Take your time. So yeah, word to the wise, if one of your buddies is like, can you watch my gun for me for a few days? Well, it's not something that has to be watered and fed. So the answer is no.
yes.
Or if they say, can you do me a favor and watch this money for me? Again, the answer is no. No.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
No, thank you. Fun to Ski said Colorado is where JC lives.
Okay. Well, on this, his water filing thing, it said Salt Lake City. Maybe he has a few homes.
Could be. Or he wanted to use one in the state. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wonder if he has to or something. Well, look, let's see. Might not even be a residence, but I'm about to find out.
Could be a P.O. box.
Oh, no, it's a residence.
Lots of talk about P.O. boxes lately.
Ugh.
All right. Kitty Gonzalez 4 days ago said if there are 50 people in a 200 square mile area, what could someone do to someone else to make them think that taking a hostage is okay? Just punishment? These people have a brain disorder. Okay, I agree with brain disorder, and I also agree with not many secrets in a small community. Now, it seems that there's a lot of secrets in this community, but amongst all of them, there's none. So if you're going to take Dylan as a hostage or you're involved in his disappearance, it was going to come out sooner than later. And it seems like it's coming down the pike fast. What do you think?
Yeah, why would you take him hostage or hold him hostage but not ask for like ransom or money? Like, what's the point of just hanging on to him like for fun?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I don't think this is a hostage situation because no money has been talked about.
Right.
Several people have droned that whole area.
And if it's about the money, they know there's $100,000 out there. That's a shitload of money.
Mm-hmm. That is. And that's what really I have found to be really curious because it is such a small area. I don't mean land-wise. Community-wise, people-wise, that somebody, and I like their thinking, Justin and Candace's, I do. This would be somebody that would come forward. This is what I know. This is where it's going to lead you. They get the reward and then get the hell out of town and never look back.
Right.
Because they don't want to be in that community knowing they're the ones that turned. You know what I mean?
Yep. I agree.
All right. Lisa said, if Jim and Dawn went to Dylan's farm on Sunday to check on him, then why was there no tire tracks or footprints on the farm from Jim or Dawn? Well, everyone's been talking about footprints, tire tracks, stuff like that. Of course, we heard there was a rain. That would make sense. But then on the other hand, we don't know that there's not. Because remember, law enforcement doesn't say, okay, it's 5 o'clock. A bunch of people are going to be on YouTube around 8 or 9. So let's tell them what we know so they have some content, you know?
Mm-hmm, right.
So
I guess they're going off. Sorry, I guess they're going off of, Candace saying that there wasn't any.
Yeah, and I mean, and she would know. I mean,
Yeah,
she's
she
had
was
many,
here.
many conversations with him. All right, last comment. Julie says the PI didn't say he will continue to look for Dylan. I heard him say that he just wants to prove he's right. What a horrible,
Pretty
arrogant person he is. I did not hear him say that. So even though you were told, go away, cease and desist, meaning, and I believe that they have had conversations with detectives, FBI, et cetera, to where they're like, look, we know what he's putting out there, but that's not where we're going. That's not, we don't, there's no findings there.
Mm-hmm.
We're going a different direction. So they're like, stop. Good morning, Sleuth Mom. They're like, stop. So I mean, to send a cease and desist, and this is it. Stop now. Our son is missing. This is not a game. This is not funny. So stop.
And now I think he's trying to dig up dirt on the lawyer. He didn't release it yet, of course, but I'm like, dude, just go away. But now he's going to have his own channel, so we can hear from him anytime we want to. Isn't that fun?
Good plan. That's probably the best plan I've heard so far.
I know, right?
All right, we're going to bring up our friend Glorin. She was in court yesterday when Jim went and saw the judge. Good morning, Glorin.
Hello.
How are you? I know you set your alarm and got up early.
Yes, I'm afraid I'm a terrible night owl.
Same.
Okay. I know, so is court. I'm not. I'm the one that's in bed at, 8 o'clock and up at, 5. I'm the person everyone hates. They're like, why are you texting me at 6 a.m.? I'm going to bed.
I know. I was sending Brooks stuff at 2 a.m. last night. I was like, oh, that's probably not a good idea.
I could sleep through a tornado. Literally, I have. So, Glorin, tell me all about court yesterday. You went, you saw Jim in person, you heard the judge, you heard the federal prosecutor.
Yes. I've been working with Marcus Ortiz from KTVX a little behind the scenes, and he texted me. We'd been talking about Chase Venstra's extradition hearing coming up Thursday, and
where is that going to be at, by the way?
That's going to be in Bountiful, which is probably maybe 7 miles to the north of me. And I understand that's supposed to be streamed online. I was going, yeah, but I'd kind of prefer to go see in person if possible. Originally, I thought it was going to be up in Farmington, but no, it's scheduled for Bountiful. So then he sent me a message about the hearing for James Brenner, and that it was coming up in a couple of hours. And I went, well, I'm not doing anything. Let's go hit it. So I hopped on the little commuter line and went downtown so I wouldn't have to fuss with parking. And I look at the courthouse, and it's
now. Hang on, where was this at? What town was this in?
Downtown Salt Lake City.
Oh, okay. He's down there. Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I see the courthouse, and there's all this barricade of fencing in front of it, and I'm going, that doesn't look right. So I call the court clerk and say, where are you supposed to enter from? It says, oh, we're in the building that is to the west of it. And so I had to walk over there instead. And so when I finally got upstairs, the hearing had just started already. So I missed the very beginning of it. But I was sitting about, I'd say, 8 feet behind Brenner. And
now, how tall is he? Because there's
he's
a lot.
Not that tall. He's not the 4 foot something that was being said because of some typo. But I would say somebody else said 5'1", and I could go with that because he was about my height, I'd say. and he looked heavier than the 210 that I had also heard. I was thinking to look closer to 250, but
Well,
just
because
a
there's
guess.
a lot of talk about the seat in Dylan's truck being moved so far up. And
Yes,
then when it
yes, I
came out,
heard.
his description, his physical description after his arrest, and we see 5'1", it's like, oh, well then he would have to adjust his seat now, wouldn't he?
Yes, he's I'm 5'3", and so I know all about seat positioning. Uh,
Yes, me too.
and there was something that came up on a previous murder here in Salt Lake back in 2004. The young woman supposedly went for a jog up the canyon, and her vehicle was left there in the park area. And I went searching on that case, and when I came back, I fell in step with some of the one of the dog handlers, and he said she was never there. We had 9 dogs out, and not one of them caught a whiff. And it was found that the seat was moved way back because she was petite, but her husband was like 5'11" or something. So, I knew right then she'd never been there at the park. And so when the mother said she didn't have to move the seat forward, I went, So, yeah.
Oh no, I got you. There's a big difference between my husband driving my truck and me. As soon as I get in, he's been driving, and I'm like, I got to readjust everything.
Yes.
Mirror, seat, I mean, even like the back, how it sits up. All right. So
Yeah.
when you were there yesterday, there was a federal prosecutor.
Yes.
Now, just take us through it, because I saw when I was reading what you wrote, a big question came up about state's charges, which I can only assume would lead to Dylan.
Yes. At first, when that came up, I was just listening, and the first the subject of him being in custody came up, and yeah, he's in custody. It's pretty obvious because he's wearing a faded red and white prison or jail uniform, and he's got shackles on and everything. So that was pretty obvious. But I guess the question was, is he going for bail or something? I don't know if bail was even an option. But the federal prosecutor said, no, he's in custody, and the judge asked, are there any state charges pending? And the U.S. attorney responded, no, they expected the grand jury to deal with that tomorrow. So that would be today. And
Okay,
yeah,
hang on. I'm gonna stop you right there for just a second.
Yes.
Okay, so the 22, it's already in the arrest affidavit. He wasn't supposed to be in possession of. Whether he thought he was owed money or not doesn't matter. He knows he's a felon. He asked DH, we know who that is, to hold his gun for him. Hold my gun, buddy. Oh, sure I will. What an idiot. Okay, fine. The 22's connected somehow. I can't get that out of my mind. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. All right, so hold my gun, because the last time I got in trouble with the law, they took all my guns. Well, that's kind of what they do. Sorry, I guess he's new to crime 101. That's all right. So, so that's signed, sealed, delivered, like I said. But
Yes.
a grand jury would be more fact finding, that they think something more is going on. And am I reaching too much?
No, that's exactly what it is. We presume that Dylan is dead. We know that the FBI was out there. Mob crew was there with their drones, and they ran into the FBI, and they had a forensic team that was processing the grain shed.
Mm-hmm.
And they saw a large item being hauled away on a flatbed trailer. And yeah, as evidence. They couldn't say what it was, and so we know there's some evidence there at the grain shed, and so sorry, my train of thought derailed.
No, you're fine. Court and I were talking about the grain shed right before
Yes.
what were you saying, Court, about the grain shed?
Just that, since it's literally right there by where he is squatting, and he has the keys to the property, which somebody actually went out and took pictures of the fence, and it,
I heard about
probably.
that. See the video where they did that, but
You did or
the
didn't?
fence is
It was
kind
some
of,
local guy from Lucin.
Let's see. I was watching another channel last night, and they were there. This guy, Black Dove, I think it is, comes up a lot, and it might have been him.
No, it was yeah, I don't remember his name, but it wasn't him, but it was probably on that same channel.
Okay, yeah, there was another guy that was on that feed, so it might have been.
Yeah, and he's lived in Lucin for like 2 years. He doesn't know Dylan or anything, and didn't know of all the meth heads that are in that area until recently. But he went out and took pictures of it and stuff.
Personally, I don't know why they have a gate, because my family had some 40 acres, which is between Lucin and Park Valley, which we know they've been canvassing for witnesses in, and the place is barren. There's nothing out there, and when we'd go camping out on our land, there wasn't anybody within 10 miles.
Yeah, I was looking on Google Earth, and I couldn't find hardly any. It all looks the same. It's just dirt.
Well, I know
the
a few
most part.
things to look for.
Yeah, so you're
because
definitely
the Transcontinental Railroad went through there, and Lucin was the train stop when the railroad line got going, and then it got moved to Montello, and that's why Lucin died as a town, and Montello got built up, is because there wasn't any reason for people to be out there in Lucin anymore. But the old railroad bed for the Transcontinental Railroad goes through over at Promontory Point, where they had the meeting of the rail lines that were being built, and it goes off towards goes off to Montello, and then further off to California at that point, and so you've got these old railroad beds where the railroad line, the rails have long been removed, but it's a much more direct route than the roads are, and so we would drive over the railroad grade to cut off a lot of miles when we'd travel to our land, and so you'll occasionally hear that come up, and there's other old railroad lines that spur off of that, and I think that some of them I think it looked like there were some that were heading north from Lucin, probably towards some of the other mining communities in the area. There's 277 mines in Box Elder County, and many of them are out there in that section of the county. So,
that's a lot of mines.
That's what I was going to ask you too, because I go back to the case of Susan Powell, and it's always been speculated that in these communities, like where they went camping, that she could be in a mine.
Yes, Josh Powell was at a I think it was a Christmas dinner or some other company dinner, and the subject of how to dispose of a body came up, and he was saying all these criminals are so stupid because they don't dispose of the body properly, and the proper way to do it is to drop it down a mine, and then you kind of cause a partial mine collapse, and they'll never be able to get down there to find the body because it's too dangerous to go down. And I think that would have come up to whoever did something to Dylan, because there was another case a few years ago where there was a young set of kids from Eureka who they went missing, and no one could find them, and their Jeep was eventually found, and they were pretty worried about what was going on, and eventually the girlfriend of this guy came forward reluctantly and admitted that she was there, and that her boyfriend, the kids came out to visit her, and he got extremely jealous, and so he took him out to this mine east of town, and he killed the boy first, and dropped him down, and then he killed the girl and dropped her down, and it was months before they were found. Once she came forward, they were able to go out to the mine and recover the bodies. And so they just had the trial for the killer, and that was, I think, back in May. And so this big high profile crime was just recently in the news, and it's the same environment as that down there by Eureka. It's it's an old mining town, ghost town, just out of Eureka. And I'd always considered, well, if I were hiding a body, what would I do? Okay, maybe it's not in the mine. And I had pinpointed the old cemetery for the ghost town out there, because when I visited the Eureka City Cemetery on Memorial Day with a friend, you've got these old graves which have collapsed in because the coffin has rotted away and the wood has collapsed. And so you get these natural holes in the ground. And I was going, well, if I were hiding a body, I would probably go put it in the hole for where one of these collapsed graves are. Because then if you got a cadaver dog, the cadaver dog is going to hit all over the place, because you got a bunch of dead bodies that are buried out there.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks of these things.
I'm telling you what, the true crime community, only us would sit there and go, if I was going to hide a body, or you're watching Dateline and you're like, well, idiot, of course you got caught.
That's what I was thinking when we were just in Colorado, and I was looking around like, man, I feel like it'd be easy to hide a body here.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to answer this comment real quick, just to speed Lisa up. I've seen a lot of people in comments saying, I'm lost, I'm confused. What are you guys lost or confused about, so we can go back? We don't want anybody lost or confused. Lisa said, I'm confused about this PI. Who hired him, and why do they not want him anymore? His grandparents, the grandparents hired him, and they don't want to deal with him anymore, because I guess what he's putting out is it can't be backed up, and it's pure speculation. You guys help me here.
Yeah, I think they didn't realize he was crazy. Not crazy, but yeah. They didn't do their homework, pretty much. And he's just, if you listen to him on like some of his other cases, vigilantes is one of his favorite things to go to. Just, I don't know. They realized, after all the stuff that he said, I mean, I know that Candace didn't want anything to do with him, and she's not the one that hired him. So I think in his eyes, he's like, well, she's not the one that hired me. I'm working for the grandparents and the aunt. But I'm assuming they're all on the same page about it. I really don't
Yeah,
know. We haven't heard from them.
they're all on the same page from what I'm gathering, but he said he's not. He's gonna continue. He's gonna
Mhm.
continue, and I mean, there is a cease and desist letter from an attorney to him. It doesn't mean anything. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how that works really.
But as I understand it, he's kind of backed off on the investigating angle, but he's fine with going on social media and talking about it.
Well, so that's the thing. I've never had to hire a PI before, but are they supposed to say, okay, this is what you need to go look at? Or aren't they supposed to go look at that? Not you, not tell you what to go look for?
Oh, well, I would think that they would provide some information of what they know, and then the private investigator would start making inquiries, and you'd probably check out what they had to say, but go in other directions, too. So,
Yeah, but he can't physically go to Utah or Nevada and investigate. Like he's
no,
admitted that.
he doesn't have a license.
Right. He did admit that. He's like that he can't go there. So that's why he's like, "Oh, well you need to go look at this and this and this and talk to this person." Like, "No, that's your job." They should have hired somebody with a license, I guess. I don't know.
Well,
They should have hired
from what I
somebody.
gather, a lot of the investigation has been done via Facebook and reach out via Facebook Messenger.
Oh,
I mean,
all
you
of
know,
it.
it is what it is. It is what it is. He said he's not backing down. I don't think he's going to do any more like reach out or anything like that.
No, he's just gonna go on YouTube a lot.
Yep. And not all
A
private investigators are the same. They are limited into what they can do because they aren't law enforcement. It goes without
Right.
saying. It goes without saying. Okay, so back to the court hearing. I'm going all over the
Okay.
place, guys. I haven't talked to you guys in several days, and I'm just chat.
Okay.
All right, so this is really important. So the federal prosecutor yesterday, he mentioned there's a grand jury today. They didn't set bail yesterday. Unless they believe he's involved with Dylan's disappearance, I can't imagine not having a bail hearing. He's been sitting there since July 3rd. Am I wrong?
I'm not sure what day he was arrested, but yeah,
No, it wasn't July 3rd. I'm sorry, what was
No,
it?
that was that other guy.
Yeah, June 30th. I mean, it was last week sometime. He's been sitting there a few days.
Yeah, the July 3rd, I think, is the day that Robert Aviles was extradited back to Nevada.
Okay.
But yeah, he's still in custody, as I understand it.
What do you know about Robert? I hadn't heard anything about him until yesterday.
I had heard his name come up that when he was arrested, and that he was tied, but I couldn't to the case, but I couldn't figure out how. And then I was listening to I'm not sure if it was the PI or one of the other streams, and they were saying that Robert Aviles is the house where supposedly Dylan was being held and beat up and so forth. And that was what was told to Kurt Wadsworth. And
by the psychic, right?
Hmm?
By the psychic. She's the one that...
But the psychic turns out to be James Brenner.
Mm.
So James Brenner is the one that pointed him to Robert Aviles. So I'm not sure whether Robert Aviles is tied to this. Now, Chase Venstra, you saying, the extradition hearing is Thursday, and, so it's not him, but I disagree. I think that the purpose of the grand jury hearing today is to see if they can get an indictment before the extradition hearing tomorrow, so that they don't have to let him go back to I'm not sure if he's supposed to be going to Nevada or if he's going to Montana.
Montana is what I heard. That he would be extradited to Montana, but they don't have that in the works yet. So, all right. So, what exactly was the hearing for yesterday? A lot of people are asking, what was it about? Just
I,
about the 22 rifle?
I'm not sure. Well, it will be to do with that, but I'm not sure why I missed the very beginning of the hearing, and Marcus Ortiz didn't say what the hearing was about. I had assumed that it was a preliminary hearing or an eviction hearing, or not eviction, but extradition hearing as well. And so, I didn't really get a sense of why they were having the hearing that day, because the preliminary hearing is on Friday, and the after the judge set the date for Friday, the defense attorney asked about custody hearing, says they'll deal with that on Friday, and so um, the judge may possibly set some high bond or something if he can. But the big question is what are they going to have at the grand jury? I would say that they're probably going to be presenting some of the evidence that the forensics team came up with at the grain shed.
Oh,
Mama Kay wants to know why he was arrested.
okay. I saw that. So let's watch the clip. It's about 7 minutes long. Can you guys hang in there with me for a second? Where Nate
Yes.
goes through the arrest affidavit, so you'll understand why Jim was arrested. Now,
Okay.
I will say this: a lot of people get mad about the PI, and they're like, "You're not giving him a fair shake." I don't know. I don't know. I do know the FBI arrested Jim. He never mentioned Jim that I know of, but Jim seems to be, just the outside looking in, the person of interest right now. So hang on, here we go.
All right, good afternoon. Here in the EastSideOhioNews.com newsroom, some developments this afternoon in the case of Dylan Rounds. Somewhat. These are significant developments. We will see how significant they are in the coming days. But right here, I have a 5-page arrest warrant for the man who lives near Dylan Rounds, and I'm gonna give it a second because I know people are going to be tuning in here. So let me give you some background. If you're just tuning in, this is Dylan Rounds. 19-year-old, went to Rigby High School here in eastern Idaho. We moved to Utah a few years ago to begin farming on this dry farm. You can see this is his farm here. Very rural area near the Utah-Nevada border. Dylan last spoke with his mother on May 26th, right before Memorial Day. It was a Saturday. He was worried about getting the grain truck under shelter because it was starting to rain, and he didn't want the rain to ruin his grain. And so he told his grandma, I got to get the grain truck in. I'll talk with you later. No one has heard from him since. That was a Saturday. His family went out a few days later, and everything was eerie. His truck was still there, his pickup truck. His camper was still there. Right here is where he was staying. There was his truck. Obviously, his tractor was there, and there was no sign of Dylan. Since then, multiple searches have been done. This is in the middle of nowhere. Closest town is about 30 miles away in Nevada, over the border, Montello, Nevada. And since then, several people in the area have been interviewed. Now, the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office is leading the investigation. The FBI is also involved. And it is the FBI that filed this arrest warrant just yesterday. And I want to make it clear that they are not connecting this person directly to Dylan's disappearance. But here's what happened. The FBI went out there. Actually, the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office went out to the farm and began interviewing people, including a man named James Brenner. Brenner is 59 years old and was apparently squatting in a trailer about 5 miles from Dylan's property. He was squatting in a trailer. He did agree to speak with investigators. And what happened was on the 16th of June, so just a few days ago, they went and spoke and served a warrant on Brenner's trailer. So I'm gonna read directly from here on the affidavit. And first, I want to say Brenner is a convicted felon. He has served time in prison. I believe it was 33 months in prison for possessing a firearm as a felon. Obviously, if you're a convicted felon, you cannot have guns. He served 33 months in prison for having firearms. He also has other felonies on his record. So the police spoke with Brenner lives about 5 miles from Dillon's property. On the 11th of June, Box Elder County Sheriffs asked that the FBI come and join the case. On the 16th, they searched Brenner's trailer. They found ball ammunition, ignition caps, black powder, speed loads, all related to muzzle loading. Those were photographed in the trailer. They were not seized at the time. There were no muzzle loader firearms located in the trailer at the time. That happened on June 16th. So police go over, they search the trailer, they find a bunch of guns and ammunition, they don't take it. 4 days later, all according to the arrest warrant, on June 20th, a friend of Brenner's, who goes by the initials DH in these records, in these documents, DH was interviewed by the FBI and the sheriff's office. During that interview, DH told the police that after Dillon disappeared and after Brenner originally spoke with the police back on June 7th, Brenner brought 3 black powder guns over to DH's house and asked him to, quote, safekeep them. Brenner stated that he needed to do this for, quote, his own safety. And, quote, the last time he had trouble with the law, they took everything from him, and he did not want the things he had left to be taken from him. DH, the friend, agreed to store the muzzle loaders for him. Then DH gave those muzzle loaders over to the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, where they were booked into evidence. I hope all that made sense. Brenner is friends with DH. DH goes over to Brenner's house, says, I need you to store these guns. When he was asked why, he says, you need to keep them for safekeeping, because last time the cops got involved, they took everything from me, and I don't want the things I have left to be taken. Is DH says that Brenner also brought him a rifle, a 22 caliber rifle. DH said he didn't tell police the day before about this rifle because he had been owed money by the rifle's original owner, and he felt that he should have a claim over the rifle that Brenner asked him to store to cover the debt. He explained to police that the rifle had been in the trailer on the property where Brenner had been living prior to him living there by a person who owed DH money. A little convoluted there, but basically, DH was owed money by the person who owned the trailer before Brenner moved in. Brenner moved in, took possession of the rifle. He then asked DH to store the rifle. DH didn't tell the police about the rifle because he felt that he had possession to it as the original owner owed him money. DH turned that rifle over to the FBI. It was loaded with 5 rounds of 22 caliber ammunition. So on the 21st, that very same day, the police went over to Brenner's trailer and they seized all of those original guns that they had been told about days earlier. So James Brenner, an arrest warrant issued for him. Police are very clear in here to not connect him to Dillon's disappearance. But it is interesting to note that one of Dillon's neighbors, that an arrest warrant has been issued, that he is a felon, that he had all of these weapons in his possession. He was asking his friends to store the weapons because he was worried the police were going to come and take them. That is the new news today. We're going to have a full story just a second on east.idahonews.com. You can read through it. We'll post the court documents. I want to give some credit here to Jeremy Harris at KUTV2 News in Salt Lake City. He actually was at court today going through, checking things when he found this. And he was kind enough to let us know about it because we're not checking Utah courts often. But this was filed in Utah, federal court in Utah. So we will see what happens with Brenner, what happens with this other person named DH, and how this is all connected to the Dillon Rounds case. I hope you followed all that. Kayla, do you have any questions?
Doesn't really look like it.
Okay, no worries. We're going to stay on top of this. Thanks for following us. You can get all the previous coverage on Dillon Rounds on east.idahonews.com.
All right, so he breaks it down really good and he explains it that you know, they're putting it out there. Look, don't speculate that this is connected. Of course, they don't want any more rumors running rampant because they don't want all the damn phone calls. Okay, really, when it comes down to it, they don't need anybody else calling. Wow. Okay, so squatting felon needs someone to babysit the gun because you know those boogers will just walk away from you at any time.
Yep.
That still blows my mind. Hey, can you watch my gun for me? Because the last time I got in trouble. All right, so we know you've been in trouble before, but what makes you think you're going to get in trouble again? Unless you're somehow connected to Dylan's disappearance. Think about what he said to DH. The last time, so you're forecasting a new time, right, brother?
Mm-hmm.
You know you're going to go down. So let's go back to court yesterday. Like you said, you missed the beginning of it, Glorin.
Yes. I would have been there on time, except the misunderstanding about they're renovating the old courthouse for a couple of years. So so I have an extra blocks to go, and anyway, I got there and I got there in time to hear him mention the grand jury. And at first I didn't think much of it because, you know, grand jury legal proceedings. But then I got to thinking, no, wait, this is in conjunction with state charges. And that to me is huge that they said that, you know, grand jury and the timing of it.
Well, and what I'm thinking is, why would there be a grand jury when you have him dead to nuts that he did ask DH to babysit that rascally gun of his that could get away at any minute? You know,
Well,
they already know that. He admitted it. You don't need a fact-finding grand jury to indict on that. You already got him for that.
no,
The
this
grand
is
jury is something totally different, which I can only assume has to do with the disappearance of Dylan.
yes, exactly. And he's presumed dead. You know, they haven't said so officially, but you know, that's what's going on. And they haven't found a body, so it's a no body case. And so those are a lot trickier to prosecute because, well, maybe he went off. I mean, you know, it's like Susan Powell. Well, maybe she's off there. You know, Josh and old Daddy Steve say, oh, she ran off to Brazil with another guy. And you always have to wonder, is this going to be some situation where, like, the Castro guy who's holding the three girls in some secret dungeon in the bottom of his house, and you know, they get rescued years later. So, you know, there's always room for doubt until they have some evidence that that there was a violent act. There was a case down in Texas where it was a no body case, and they went in and did an examination of the guy's apartment, and they found evidence of all this blood and wipe marks on the wall and so forth. And so they know from the quantity of blood that he has to be dead, because nobody could lose that much blood and survive. But we don't have, or at least we don't know of any clear, evidence of foul play. And, you know, the same thing with Susan Powell. And so because you don't have a body, there's some room for doubt, you know, what happened. And so that's
I'm really glad that you're bringing that up, because it's something that slips people's minds. They get so up in arms in these cases, and I get it. I truly do. But what you're saying needs to be reminded again and again and again and again. It takes one. It takes one on a jury to say, I'm not buying it. You haven't even convinced me this person is really dead. You haven't convinced me there was actually a murder. It could have been an accident. The person could have just gone away. You haven't convinced. It takes one. Then you're screwed. You're done. You can never bring it in front of a jury again.
Well, and that's what we've got with, Summer Wells. We don't know. Did she wander off, get lost, fall down some crack somewhere and hasn't been found? Did she get kidnapped? Did she get sold to somebody? Did the parents do something and
Yes.
hid the body? And so if I were on the jury, I would be going, well, hold on a second. We don't know. It could be that, that she wandered off and the body's never been found. We had a case 16 years ago of I think it was a 12-year-old scout on a scouting trip. He was camping. I mean, he was fishing with his dad. His feet got wet, and so he went 100 yards back to the campsite to get some dry socks, and he was never seen again. And if it's a remote place up in the Uinta Mountains, and if some car had come and somebody had taken him off, they probably would have heard the sound of a vehicle around that time. And to the best of my knowledge, they didn't. And they've been scouring those mountains for years using GPS technology so they can map exactly where they've searched. And they found no sign of him in all those years. And so
It's tricky. And some DAs, we had Jennifer Coffindaffer on the show about Summer. Don't get me going on Summer Wells. I've been hitting that since June 16th of 2021. We have another show later in the afternoon today about Summer, some more stuff. But Jennifer Coffindaffer was on, I think this is like in February, March, I have to look. And she said there are some DAs that will not pursue a jury, will not put in front of a jury without a body. They won't do it. They just will not do it. Trials are expensive. A lot of them are, DAs are elected officials. They can't have that on their hands. They're like, you got to find it. You got to find the person, dead or alive, you got to find them.
Well, it's kind of, it's the safe option, but if there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that they're dead, they can be compelled to go into court and prosecute, because to not do so, might be political suicide. So, they don't want to lose the case, and they don't want to
lose their job.
They don't want to go into the case and have problems with double jeopardy. The person got off. Now we found the body and we can't go after them. And so, I can understand, but you do have successful prosecutions of with no body cases. They're rare, but you do get them.
Can I clear something up for Lisa Irwin?
Go for it, baby.
I think a lot of people are super confused about this because it's weird. No, Dylan did not have a key, but it's not his gate. The grain shed was on someone else's property, and they let Dylan use it pretty much. So that's why he didn't have a key. It wasn't actually his property. Yeah, that.
I am really wondering. Obviously, all we can do is wonder and discuss and speculate. What could have been the beef between Jim and Dylan? What set Jim off?
Well, I understand he has a temper, and Dylan is supposed to have been in the bar talking about, I've got $80,000 in cash, and apparently people there don't. They have large quantities of money because it's 50 plus miles to the nearest bank. So, I can understand that to a certain degree. But now I've heard conflicting things about the money. I've heard that they've accounted for all the money. I've heard that they've accounted for all but 20,000 of it. And to me, it doesn't really matter, because somebody hears big stash of cash, I can have an easy life. I can go get that money, and then they can't find it because the person won't say where it is, or it's not true. The money's been spent on something else already, and so it's not there to be had at that point. So
Just me. Oh, sorry. Just me. Don had the key. That's how he would get in. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, it's okay. No, the only thing about the money that I think, just my opinion, and on here everybody has their opinion. We respect everybody's opinion unless you're talking about something really, really crazy. Then we just don't have time for it, or you've got nothing to back it up. Nothing to back it up. It's like, okay, so you heard that and you're bringing it here as God's gospel, but you don't have anything to back it up. All right. Anyway, so money could be the motive.
money,
Yeah, for sure.
or drugs, or
Money for drugs.
well, that's exactly it. Is and I think that Chase is also involved. And I'd love to be on a fly on the wall in the grand jury proceedings.
Yeah.
Did I say that Jim had the key or Don had the key? I meant Jim. If I said Don had the key, I was wrong. I meant Jim. I'm getting confused with these 3-letter names, but yeah. Jim had the key.
Yeah, it gets very, very confusing. There is a lot of people involved in this case to be such a small area, very concentrated.
Mm-hmm.
And like we were talking about, money is the motive. Well, it seems to me that Jim isn't the only person having money problems out there. I'm just very, very surprised someone has not come up to get that reward. Not that they're going to be on TV going, "Oh, look at me, I won the lottery,"
Yeah.
to get
That's a
this
lot of
going
money.
faster.
That's a lot of money for, especially that area. I want to say Candace said they bought it for like $500 an acre or something. You could buy like the whole town with that.
It's pretty rustic territory out there.
Not to say anything bad about the area or anything.
No.
I'm just saying that's what she
No,
said.
it isn't. And the desert, it looks really barren and so forth, and it is. But the desert has a definite beauty of its own.
Yeah.
And
I live in, well, not that desert of a desert, but I live in the desert. I like it here.
well, when I was a kid, and we had our land that was northeast of, well, it was between Lucin and Park Valley, and we would just go exploring all the gullies, and I carved a piece of limestone, and we were trying to dig a well by hand, and I think after we got down about 20 feet, he gave up, and Dad hired somebody to drill a well, and I think that he probably bought the land for about $2,000-3,000 back in 1973, 1974. And after putting a well on it, he sold it for about $5,000 back around 1997. So this land is pretty pretty worthless.
Well, it's not really close to anything, from what I gather.
No, ours was probably about 10 miles south of Rosette, I think, which is east of or west of Park Valley. And there was at that time one business in Rosette, and that was the gas station, fast food restaurant, motel, convenience store.
Yep.
And the across from that was a shed, which was the post office, and that's about all there was in that I remember in Rosette, was the post office shed and the the one business. So it's, but it's so quiet out there, and you wouldn't hear anything. It'd just be pure silence out there, except for the occasional sonic boom from jets, fighter jets from Hill Air Force Base flying over and doing tests and so forth, because they've got a training range out there south of Lucin.
Okay, and so you mentioned how it's quiet out there. You wouldn't hear anything. So if there's a struggle, there's a scuffle, I mean, a gunshot, anything, be very likely nobody would know anything's going on because it's in the middle. It's out in the middle. All right, so let's talk about this. There's been a lot of online speculation about the family, as if the family has anything to do with Dylan's disappearance. I don't know how many of these people enjoyed growing up on Walton's Mountain. Okay, like everything is so perfect. Families have rifts, they have issues. Mine does. People that you just don't talk to anymore. You're like, hey, might be family, but I don't have anything to do with them. It happens. Even with
it
your
happens everywhere.
Yeah. So why that is such a focus for some people, I don't get it.
Because it's just something, I guess. It's just something for them to focus on.
And I really thought that there would be more focus on, which we're doing right here, on James being arrested, asking DH to hold this 22 because he thought he had some right to it. I still don't understand that. And, this, I hope everyone understands, is really, really huge that Glorin was at court yesterday and they said there's going to be a grand jury today. Again, it can't be about the 22. They've already arrested him for that. They have him dead to nuts. He already said, I had him watch it. DH told him he had me watch the gun for him. They already know that. So the grand jury is something totally different.
Yep. Hopefully.
Yes. Well, it's if it's they were talking about it in conjunction with the state, it's going to be, it's not going to be more federal crimes because that would, that's different grand jury, different court.
Yeah, so it's going to be totally something different, but they brought up state charges. That's why I'm thinking it could be, I'm not saying it is, could be very directly related to Dylan's disappearance.
Well, yes, I think that's pretty clear. And, the timing to me is extremely suggestive because I think that the state would prefer not to extradite Chase Venstra to Montana and then have to turn around and get him back because things happen. Other jurisdictions aren't necessarily as cautious as you yourself are. I remember when I was a kid, my first experience with true crime was Ted Bundy.
Oh boy.
When I was in elementary school.
Yeah, he made a lot of friends in Utah.
He was the boogeyman of my elementary school years. There would be these young women disappearing and then bodies would turn up in the mountains and we had no idea who was doing it. And so, I had a real fear of unknown killers and so forth. And then he was arrested on the possession of burglary tools and connected with the Carol Durant kidnapping, which is happened out of a mall, which my family would visit. And so then it came out that his name had come up with in association with murders in Washington State, and so they convicted him on the Carol Durant kidnapping, and they had some strong evidence in Colorado, and so they went, okay, well, we'll let him Colorado prosecute him first, and so they extradite him off to Colorado, and he escapes from jail. He gets recaptured. He escapes from jail again. Goes to Florida. He kills 4 more people. 4 more women. One of them's a 12-year-old girl. So, another reason for me as a young kid to be afraid of this guy, because he's killing people who are as young as I am, and in fact he confessed to the murder of somebody with my own name up in Pocatello. So
Well, Ted Bundy's an anomaly. Hopefully we never see anything like that again. That dude, I mean, he was devil. He was the devil on the earth. All right, I have to ask you something really quick. Okay, so Friday, not change the subject, but my brain's going everywhere right now. So Friday at 1:30, there's a preliminary hearing for James. Now, is that over the 22?
yes,
Is that federal? Okay, so that's federal.
yeah, that's the federal charges, and they're gonna revisit the question of should he get bail at that time. And so the preliminary hearing, they'll present some of the evidence and witnesses and so forth to say, yes, we've got good reason to believe that this guy is responsible, and that we've got enough evidence to get a conviction. And so
Okay.
it's a little kind of mini trial. Usually the defense doesn't put on anything at that time. They can, but they usually don't want to tip their hands at that point.
No, I don't think he has a lot to tip anyway. So, hopefully the grand jury comes back fast and it doesn't take 3 months. But I'm not going to be surprised if we don't hear very soon that there is an indictment.
Well,
I hope so.
if it's for James, there isn't. It's not critical because he's already in custody. I think it has more to do with Chase, because the extradition hearing is tomorrow at 4 p.m.
That's another one too. So if they extradite him, I'm going to be leaning towards he's not involved. I've been saying, I'm just not ready to give up on this guy. If they say they're not going to extradite him, I'm going to make the assumption that they believe he's involved and they need to keep him where he's at. Does that
Well,
make sense? They don't like
I'm
to
not-
extradite and then bring him back.
I'm not sure that they can avoid extraditing him unless they have an indictment.
Okay.
So, I think that they want to go in, they want to test the evidence, they want to test the witnesses and see if they've got enough to get the indictment, before the extradition hearing. And so,
So it's your opinion that it's more important. Chase's case would be more important than James's?
well, they're both important, but they don't have to worry so much about getting an indictment on James in a hurry, because he's not going anywhere.
Mhm.
And but Chase could be. So, yeah, I would think that they would probably do, if they're going to indict, if there's enough evidence, they're going to indict both of them, but they've got more time to, let things develop with James than they do with Chase.
Absolutely. Okay, that makes perfect sense. Now I'm understanding. Like I said, I just think it's huge. When I read what you had posted, and I was like, grand jury? Well, that changes everything for me. Nobody cares about the 22, but it's a damn good reason to arrest you and hold you.
Yes, I see a comment from Misty, and she says they can waive extradition. Yes, they can. And Robert Aviles was extradited Sunday. Now, I'm
Hold
not
it.
sure if he's involved or not, but they may not have had enough at that point if he is involved to have avoided extradition, and he he had to have, he must have waived extradition.
Now, where was he going to be extradited to, or was he extradited?
He's in
here?
Elko County now,
He is. Okay. Where was he extradited from?
Box Elder County.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, why would they extradite him there? Because he was arrested for a warrant. Wait, a warrant, right?
Yes, he had
For like robbing a casino,
something like that.
but not in that county. I don't know. I don't think they have a casino. I was
well,
just
every
confused
gas
about
station,
him.
every large gas station is a casino
Oh,
in
okay.
Nevada. If you've got some slot machines, you're
Oh.
a casino.
So is he's in Nevada or I'm confused?
Yes, he's in it. He's in
Oh.
Elko County.
And
So
that's which one's in Utah? Box Elder?
Let's see. Brigham City is the county seat for Box Elder County, so he probably was in Brigham City.
Oh, okay.
And Chase is in Farmington, where the jail is, but the district court is down in Bountiful. So I'm not sure if he's going to be appearing by video or in person. No.
But he was in Salt Lake City?
No, James Brenner was in Salt Lake City. I'm not sure if he's being held in the Salt Lake County jail. If so, he's a couple of miles from me.
Oh, that's a nice feeling.
Well, it's kind of an industrial area, and so it's no big deal, but it's just kind of amusing because I drive past there a few times a month.
Well, and is it surprising to anyone that all of these arrests are being made all at once from the same area? It kind of seems like a good time to do a roundup because somebody knows something.
Yep. You just got to wait for somebody to crack.
Well, there's supposedly only about 200 people in the general area. So, that's quite a few all of a sudden out of, a small community.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been saying. I'm like, this is like shooting fish in a barrel. Like they're all right there,
Has anyone found anything on Don? Does he have a criminal history that anybody knows of?
I don't remember hearing about him. I think I heard something that he might have been the person from whom the Dillon's farm was purchased, but I don't know if that's true.
There was some sort of contention with Dillon firing people from their jobs and things like that. That's been said many, many times.
I don't think that that's a big deal personally,
No.
because being fired from a job sounds like a big deal, but it's a farmhand job. It's not a big life career path, that they're going to be doing this for the rest of their lives.
Well, they're like 60, so there's
and so it's not like I'm really ticked off because I'm going to lose my retirement and so forth, and I was going to be here for the rest of my life till I retired.
That's true. They probably didn't have retirement at the farm.
And it's probably largely seasonal because Dillon would go back to Idaho during the winter time, which I wouldn't blame him because, get pretty impassable probably, over dirt roads to his farm.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
saying in the wintertime it would be bad?
Well, yeah, and I don't know. I don't think he's got electricity. He probably has a generator or something out there.
Mhm. I
You know.
wondered about that myself. Like, what form of civilization did he have out there?
Well, there's nothing really. I mean, Lucin is a ghost town. There's some foundations for some old buildings from the when it was a railroad stop.
Mhm.
And there's a small cemetery. I don't know if it's even detectable these days. Um, and there's I, I've examined the area on satellite. You can't really see anything except for the railroad grade and the airport. And the airport is really just a couple of long areas that have been bulldozed and so forth so that the guy who bought the land out there can land and take off.
Oh, so it's not like an airport. It's like a runway and a shed.
Yeah, probably. It's you can land anywhere that it's flat. When I went on a river trip a few decades ago, there was this ranch that a pair of brothers had, and they would only be able to get there by mule train, or and we were going down the Green River, and there was a medical emergency where somebody from a river rafting trip um, had an emergency, and they had to evacuate him, and so they landed a medical plane on the old plowed ground from the ranch.
Hmm.
So it's just somewhere that's long and flat where you're not going to have trees. You're not going to have sagebrush and so forth to cause you problems. So that's all you really need. Long straight spot that you can get up to probably something like 65 miles an hour on.
Now, girls, this is total speculation, just what you think. Now, we know the FBI is heavily, heavily, heavily involved. Do you think Dylan will be found? You know the area, Glorin. Court, you've been heavily following this. Do you think he'll be found? I honestly think the only way he's going to be found is if James, Chase, whoever cracks.
Well, if somebody cracks, or if some hunter or somebody on a quad runner or something happens across the body, those are usually the only ways that bodies get discovered out in the West Desert. Yeah, I've heard it said there's more bodies per square mile out in the West Desert than anywhere, in the
Ew.
United States. Now, I don't know where they get their statistics from, but that's something that you hear said, and it's just really easy to hide a body, and people aren't going over every square foot of place. So, unless you just happen to be in the right place at the right time, they don't get found. And that's why they found a body of one guy when they were searching for Dylan, because they were searching for a body. They found one. It just wasn't the one they expected. And as I understand, he died from exposure, or something weather related, heat prostration, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
God. What do you think, Court?
I don't know. I mean, obviously, I hope they do, but it's not looking good.
It's just been it hasn't been too long.
I mean, eventually,
Yes.
You know,
It could take 10 years. It could take
right,
20. I mean, we don't know what happened to Susan Powell still. It's been
right.
it's been 11 and a half years.
Exactly. Exactly. And this is a crazy case. I mean, the critters coming out of the woodwork.
Oh my gosh, so many out of the woodwork.
God, the PI all over the place. I'm just wondering when it's going to be put together, and I'm going to get hammered for this. I am. Just watch the comments after the show. That with everything he spouted out about Chase, about Kurt, all that stuff, he never mentioned Jim, and Jim is arrested, and there's a grand jury for him today.
Right. And the thing with Kurt, I mean, oh my goodness, like, I know it happens, but I personally don't see the kind of relationship with them. I mean, obviously, I don't know them, and well, he didn't either. That he said, but it's like I saw him for the first time last night, I think, Kurt, and I'm just sitting here thinking, if I was a gay 19-year-old boy, child, adult man, whatever, that would not be my first option. I mean, the only like 60-year-old I would be with would be like Johnny Depp.
Oh,
Not
boy.
Kurt.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I
come on,
could see
really.
somebody going for Johnny Depp as opposed to some.
Kurt.
And I
Yeah.
know there's obviously not a lot to choose from. And I'm not saying Dylan's gay or not gay. It doesn't matter.
Well, and I'm
to
not
me, but
convinced that that Kurt's gay either.
yeah.
As I understand, there's some of the stuff about him has kind of been blown out of proportions. That some of the people were kind of strong armed into saying things by the PI that they really didn't mean.
Right. Well, he was talking to the family, or I believe the son, and the son says he's gay. Well, first of all, the son is in prison, but then talking about how he has like 20 wives in the Philippines or somewhere like that. I'm like, well, why would he have 20 wives if he's gay?
Well, that's one thing that
I
I've been wondering about is when his name came up with, because the street where I grew up with, small dead end street, and the next door neighbors but one were some Wadsworths, and they were a polygamous family.
Mm.
And so I was going, are these guys related to the Wadsworths that we grew up with? And so I did a little research and went, well, okay, he's not from the first family or the second family of those polygamists. And I got to wondering, well, could he be the child of the older brother? And I don't know. I don't know what. I haven't been able to find anything on that. So, but it did.
And also, I was wondering, does anybody know, is James, is he local to the area, or is he like a transplant?
I'm not sure. I believe he's not, because of all his previous charges were not there.
Right. That's what I'm thinking too. I mean, it's really neither here nor there. It makes more sense to me that he wouldn't be local to be involved in something so horrific.
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know how long he's been there, but I wouldn't think it's been like very long.
Okay, it looks to me like he's got ties to Las Vegas and to Ogden. Let's see. Don't know when. I think Ogden is probably might be where he was raised. And I think Las Vegas might have been where he worked, previously, but he's listed as on my life as currently living in Las Vegas, but these things aren't the most accurate in the world, but
No, it's just like I've been getting, and I love emails. Don't get me wrong, keep them coming. But I've been getting a lot of Google Earth screenshots, and I'm like, but that was from 6 months ago. It's not from today. You know, you can't put in a particular date and say, "Can you?" We're not the military. You know what I mean? That's I'm going to get the exact same thing if I look on Google Earth. So I mean, no offense, just so you know, Google Earth is way backdated.
Especially in small areas.
Yeah. So, I mean, really in any area. I mean, I live in a, pretty big city. And if I Google Earth right now, my own address, I'm going to be like, oh shit, that was Christmas time.
Oh, well, yeah, not that current either. I mean, that's pretty current, I think.
Yeah.
For Google.
well, I think Google Earth finally does show that my shed that I built in my backyard, but it didn't for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
I
definitely
don't
not
really,
live.
I will never understand what all the my only thing with, okay, I don't understand the fascination with, is he gay, not gay? The only thing that I
Yeah.
said about that is, it doesn't matter if he's gay or not. It matters if he was in a relationship, because in a lot of disappearances, using that word
Mhm.
lightly, it comes down to a bad breakup. So yeah, that's important.
Well, it also is important if somebody thinks he is and isn't, and it's a hate crime, albeit erroneous.
Right.
It only really matters as to the who's closest to him, and the fact that he didn't date, that he didn't have any girlfriend, that's not a big deal. My brother
No,
was a
no.
shy kid,
Mhm.
and he didn't do any dating. The first gal he really dated is the one that he's been married to for, what, 30 years. So,
No, and any kid that's like, I want to get into farming, if they were dating, they're going to be dating. They're like, screw that farm. I got a
Mhm.
girlfriend.
well, the
You know?
girlfriend isn't going to be wanting to go live in a travel trailer without
Right.
electricity and conveniences and
I wouldn't.
shopping. And I mean, when we went out to our land, that was fun as an escape. But I would probably go nuts if I were living out there, because where's the bookstore? Where's the library? Where's uh,
You better
places?
have good service, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
If I'm going
So
to be there.
Yeah. Well,
I've got a friend. He's got apartments in central Wyoming that we go work on, and I go absolutely nuts after 1 week being in a town of 10,000 people with Walmart. I mean, it's just not, people there, if they want to go shopping, they hop in and go to Casper, and it's a couple of hours. And so, and that's coming from a town of 10,000 people. And so you've got a town of 50, and you've got Park Valley is the next closest town, and that's probably about 40 miles away, and it has 200 people. It's a wide spot in the road.
and some people, that's all they know, and that's what they prefer.
Yeah, and if
And that's what he was there to farm. He wasn't there because he adored the camper. He had a mission. He had
Yeah.
a job.
Yeah, and it could be that eventually, if he was successful in farming, he might have bought a house in town, commute out to the farm. My friend, he grew up on his dad had a farm, and it was probably 5 miles away from the family home. And that's just how you do it. You commute out to the farm because there's more opportunities for the family in town, you know, school, church, shopping, you know, what have you.
Right. I think he was out there basically building a life. And what I have noticed I don't pay a lot of attention, just what I have noticed is this new generation coming up, they're not in a hurry. You know, they're not in a hurry to find the one and get married and get out of school and all that stuff. So he
No,
just
I
said,
mean,
like, time is not of the essence. And I'm going to address this real quick by Joy Catcher. This is so true. All right. If he was in a relationship with Kurt could be on the defensive because it could have started when he first got out there, and that would be very much illegal because he would be 17.
Yeah, I just don't see it. Like,
I don't see it either. But if this guy is really,
I know it happens.
it
I'm
happens.
not
I
saying
mean,
it
if
doesn't, but
he's really a groomer and stuff like that, it could. I mean, just what little bit I've heard of this guy, I'm just not picking up on it. Not that I'm an expert.
I don't see it either. You know, small community like that, they're, you know, yeah, they're not going to be having, you know, if you had somebody who's gay, they're really going to be deep in the closet.
Is it because of the religion?
No, it's just because it's a
So small.
conservative community, you know, where you know, they're farmers, they're rough, tough, burly, you know, macho types,
Mhm.
and you know, they're not as open-minded as somebody in a larger community is going to be. So
Which is
it's
why I was really surprised in this case that it was such a pearl clutching thing if he is or isn't. I'm like, well, that's the least of our worries.
Right. But he's not arrested yet either. So
Nope, that's why
I
I'm like,
don't feel like he's on their radar for it.
I
I mean,
don't
obviously he could be.
oh, I'm sure
I think
there's
that
many
he's
things
just
I'm
a
sure
red
there's many
herring.
things they could pick him up on if they just wanted to hold him, if they think he's
Yeah.
involved. I mean, there's too many coincidences for me with James.
Yeah.
He had the opportunity. He's right there. He's right there. He was squatting on the property. And let's not forget, the squatty fellow had to obviously adjust the seat and forgot to put it back. That was one of the very first things I read about this case, is that it was odd that Dylan, being, you know, so tall, I mean, he wouldn't have his seat scooted all the way up.
Mm-hmm. Nope.
Not at all. Glorin, are you going to be at court on Friday?
I think so. You know, I got a degree years ago as a paralegal, and my interest was to go into criminal law, but then it turns out that Utah wasn't the best place to become a paralegal because of the unique situation. We've got two law schools 45 miles apart, and most times when people go to law school or college in general, they go to college in some some distant community, they graduate and they move away when they get done. But locally, it's people go to college locally, they graduate, they stay local when they get done. So there's too many lawyers and not enough jobs to go around. So they go, why should I hire a paralegal when I can hire a recently graduated law student who, you know, who may be passing the bar soon, or who just passed the bar, because you know, the person who just passed the bar can go into court and argue, and they can sign legal documents and so forth, and the paralegal can't.
Mhm.
But the paralegal is probably going to be there a lot longer, so you know, you're not having to keep breaking them in over and over again.
Well, they're lost because you know your stuff. And I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you coming on here today, you two, Court, because when my jaw dropped when I read what you had posted when you said grand jury. I'm like, oh.
Yeah, well, grand jury
I was doing my best not to speculate, but when I heard that, you can't unring a bell, and they would not need a grand jury, like I said, for the 22 rifle. It's something
No.
totally different.
No. And so, I'm hoping that they have enough, forensic evidence from the shed that it's going to be clear, and that they'll get an indictment quickly.
I think we're going to hear pretty fast. I really do.
It's felt for the last week or so that it's coming together fast. So I think we will.
I hope so.
I
don't
hope so
like
too.
slow.
I don't either, and it just feels that way to me. I mean, it really does. And I'm sure there's a lot of frustrations with the parents, and I totally get that, because I mean, they are the parents. But I mean, for people like me, like us, that follow cases, this has moved like a freight train.
Well, you look at Summer Wells, it's been a year, and we don't know any more now than we did then. But here we've got this guy arrested, we've got that guy arrested, and we've got the money, we've got these various things going on, and this person saw this, and you look at how different it is. I mean, you've got a Candace in both cases, and you look at the difference between the two moms, and it's
Big
just night and
difference.
day. It just really shows what a pathetic job the Wells have done at looking for in being concerned about their daughter. They've just shown so little interest, really.
Oh, they don't care. Have you heard any of our shows about Summer? There's a lot to choose from.
I heard a few earlier on, and then I kind of got into some other podcasts, and so I got away. So I need to check out some of yours.
Well, welcome back, because we have another show. We have another show tonight. It's 5:00 my time, which is 5:00 Central. It's going to be about Summer tonight. So you guys make sure you hit your reminders.
Okay.
Hit your reminders. Hit the sub button. So you guys, while I'm winding down, take a minute. I see a lot of new names in here. Hit the sub button. Hit the like. Hit the bell. Get reminded, because I know a lot of people are like, why am I not getting my reminder? And I'm about to the point where I'm going to make like an email group and remind myself.
One person has got a Facebook page, and people follow the Facebook page, and he puts out reminders, an hour or two in advance sometimes, about the feed and what the topic is. And I found that's really helpful, because I'm frequently over on Facebook checking out, what's latest on different cases.
Yep, I've got a Facebook group and a Facebook page, but not everybody does Facebook. So either way, we all get together and always have a great chat. Always great community, great community. I say it every day. I mean it every day, not just blowing smoke up your ass. You guys are the best community and the best chat on YouTube. Glorin, love you coming up. Thank you so much. I mean, you were in court. You're telling us everything that's going on, and that is amazing. I can't even tell you how much I appreciate the information.
Oh, you're welcome.
All right, I'll see you back here at 5.
All right. Thanks for having me, Brooks.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, what a great show, guys. Thank you so much for being here. I mean, I felt like it'd been a month since I'd been on because of the long weekend. Wasn't even that busy of a weekend, but, whew. Like I said, can't do that again. Almost forgot how to do the StreamYard. Anyway, you guys, I will see you back here at 5:00 tonight. In the meantime, we'll visit back and forth in Discord, in the Facebook group. Check out the page, what have you, and set your reminders, and see you back tonight at 5:00. I mean it when I say it. You guys are the absolute best. Bye-bye.